Hello, welcome to this webinar on how to buy a home and move to Cyprus. I'm here with Island Homes Cyprus. My role is editor of Place in the Sun, and I'm going to introduce Sarah Hordle, the owner of Island Homes Cyprus, and we're here with Antigoni, Markou, Christofi. I hope I pronounced that correctly, of her own legal company. So welcome, both of you.
Thank you very much, Liz.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you very much for having us today.
Well, we hope I'm going to use your knowledge to help people understand how to buy the right way in Cyprus. So, Sarah, first of all, with you, could you just explain? I think you moved to Cyprus a few years ago. What's the story of you and your company?
Okay, Liz. So I came to Cyprus for a holiday and bought a house within 24 hours, having never been to the country before. 2 years later, we decided to move over here with our 1-year-old son. So that was almost 18 years ago now. So he's all grown up. He's a dual bilingual child who has been through the school system here. So I think one of the things that I can do is actually tell you to avoid the pitfalls that I made by doing it all very impulsively. And it's really important to me. And it's been a fantastic place to live. So I started the estate agency 15 years ago. We're all a team of expats from various countries. And so every single one of us can talk to our clients and from first-hand knowledge. And I think that really does help people understand. And we know the questions they're going to ask, and we've got the answers ready for them.
Indeed, I've interviewed many of your happy buyers over the years, and met them at the exhibitions. So thank you. And Antigoni, tell me about your background and what your company does.
I am a registered lawyer here in Cyprus. We have offices in Paralimi, Famagusta area, and we offer comprehensive legal services on property purchase procedures, all the legal procedures regarding the contracts and the finalization of a buying procedure, and also a comprehensive legal service on migration regarding people that are willing to relocate in Cyprus.
Brilliant. Thank you. So Cyprus, it's one of A Place in the Sun's top 5 most popular locations. I kind of think it's true to say that it's really been booming since the pandemic. Sarah, can you just tell us, sort of why is Cyprus so popular at the moment? Why should people consider it, when they're maybe thinking of Spain, France, Portugal?
I think Cyprus has always had a special relationship with the UK. Ever since the first package holidays started back in the 70s, people came here, they discovered the lifestyle, and they also discovered the Cypriot people, and they are something special. You can guarantee that you'll get a warm welcome here, whereas we know from clients telling us that in parts of Spain, in parts of France, the British are looked on as a bit of a nuisance, to say the least. Everybody in Cyprus speaks English. Well, 90% of them speak English. We drive on the same side of the road. We use a 3-pin plug, and you just find that integration here is really, really easy. Of course, we've got amazing weather. I don't know if you can see out of the window, but we're currently today around about 25 degrees. In the winter, maybe around about 18 degrees most days, sunshine all the time. And the sea only drops to about 10 degrees, and it's just balmy. There's so much outdoor life, and I think that's really what makes it something that the British love. And they also come and they meet the Cypriots when they're on holiday. So they've got relationships here from the very first time. And we see a large number of people that come to Cyprus for one holiday and then they never go anywhere else. And then they end up buying a house and with a view to retirement. There's a good income to come from the properties as well. So I think it's got everything.
Yeah, and it's also very international these days, isn't it? I take your point about the very long-held British connection, but I mean it's a buoyant market because other people are buying there too.
Yeah, yeah, we've certainly seen over the last few years a very different market with a lot of the Polish and Slovakian and Slovenian. And it's a great, great mixture here because, again, they're all, or the majority of speak English. And they love it. They come here for the climate. It's very accessible for all sorts of places. We're right in the middle of so many countries, and it's easy to get around, easy to get here, and easy to go home. So, yeah, we love the fact that it's so multicultural.
Right. Yeah, no, that has been a change. And what about your particular corner of Cyprus? You're both based in the southeast, I think, aren't you?
Mhm.
We
Tell us
are.
about why that particular part is worth a look.
Well,
I
from
think I will leave that to Sarah first, and then because I'm from here, obviously.
Perfect.
well, for me, it is just the most amazing place to live. It's the crime rate here is minuscule. That's something that I think people feel really safe and they feel really happy when they're living here, because most of us still leave our doors open. It really is that. And certainly when my son was younger, the kids are all running in and out of the house, and that still happens today, helping themselves out of the fridge, which some people might not be too keen on. But there's no industry as such in this area, but we have beautiful, beautiful scenery. And we also have two of the top 10 beaches in Europe, plus another 50 plus small coves and beaches and little hidden gems all the way along. We have National Park with the most easterly point of Europe, and the scenery is fabulous. And it's just the way of life. It's an outdoor lifestyle. So for me, there's no better place. But we're only 40 minutes maximum from Larnaca Airport. 30 minutes drive into the bigger city of Larnaca and less than an hour to Nicosia. So you can be skiing in the morning and on the beach in the afternoon.
Mhm.
So I'd love to hear what makes it so special for Antigoni as a local.
Yes.
So basically, the area that we live is, I do believe that it's more like a summer destination, let's say, but it combines the village lifestyle with the city lifestyle, but with the advantage that we don't have so much traffic. Everything, you have access to everything, and in like a few minutes drive you can see the village life from the outer villages, let's say from the main city, and you can actually live also the city lifestyle in the main biggest city, which is Paralimni. 5 minutes drive, you can reach Ayia Napa, which is the #1 destination for summer vacation. And at the same time, in another 5 minutes time, you have family beaches, and I think in the top 10 of Europe, as Sarah told before, and blue flag beaches, which is really important. That means that the water is clear, is clean, and that offers us a good quality of summer vacation, but also a good quality of lifestyle. Also, we need to consider that the distance, the driving distance between the cities in Cyprus is not that far away. The longest distance is from Paralimni to Paphos, which is almost 2 hours. And Limassol is 1 hour and 15 minutes. And then we have Nicosia, which is the capital city, and it's around 45 minutes. So in Paralimni, you enjoy a good lifestyle, but you can combine it also with other cities anytime that you wish.
Thank you. Perfect. Okay, so you've sold that the location to me. Sarah, there are different reasons people buy in Cyprus, aren't there? Some buy holiday homes, some come to have a new laid back lifestyle.
Yeah, I'd say the majority of our buyers are buying with a view to being in Cyprus permanently in the future. They may be buying, like we did in our late 30s, as a bit of an investment and a rental, but somewhere to go on holiday that's really safe for the kids. But 99% of them say we're buying a flat now because when we retire, we're going to sell that and upgrade and buy ourselves a bungalow or a villa. Because that they are attracted to the lifestyle. So they want to get themselves on the property ladder. And it's very possible, you know, while your kids are younger, to have your summer holidays here and then do short-term lets around that, so that actually the property's not costing you anything, which is it's a really good way of getting onto the ladder. And then when you're ready to move in 10 years, 15 years, then you can sell that property and buy yourself something that suits you for more permanence.
Okay.
But we get a number of investors as well who, because the prices of properties here are still very reasonable, so we get people that are just buying with a view to making a little bit of capital appreciation, making some rental income, handing it over to a company for that reason, and others that just want their own private little bolt hole that they only use for themselves and their families, and it's something that is really special to them.
Okay, thank you. Right. And what about the legal process of buying a property? We've got we'll talk about sort of how you can get the residency after. We've got a lot of information to get through, but Antigoni, could you explain the basics of the buying process and how long it takes, anything to be aware of?
In order to be able to purchase a property in Cyprus, first of all, you need an agent who will view some houses, and then you will decide which one is suitable for you. And then you need to find a lawyer who is dealing with property law and contracts and who knows the procedure, so he can help you through the process in order to have the best result for you. So we have the contracts drafting at the beginning. If the clients are not in Cyprus, are not based in Cyprus, they're giving a power of attorney to the lawyer so the lawyer can act on their behalf. It's really important here to note that it's better if the power of attorney is signed when the clients are in Cyprus, because it's cheaper and we don't waste a time between signing the power of attorneys in the UK and have them apostilled, or have the clients must travel to Cyprus embassy in order to have them signed. So that makes things easier for them. Then after the contract drafting, we finalize the contracts. We proceed with the stamp duties, which is a standard amount according to the value of the contract and is payable at the tax department. And after that, the vendor or the seller is doing the procedure for the tax clearance form, which that means that everything for the property is paid, and that then with that one, we can proceed at the land registry without any issues. What is important here to mention is that there is a bit of delay for the tax clearance form to be issued. And this is not something that the clients should be worried for, because we know it. And we also, we advise our clients that the biggest delay all through the process is that part, that small step on the procedure. So moreover, we attend at the land registry. If the property has title deeds, that means that the title deeds are transferred to the new owner. Or if the property does not have title deeds, we proceed with the submission with the lodge of the assignment agreement at the land registry. Let's make a note here and say that Cyprus government has a specific procedure for the properties that do not have title deeds yet, which protects the buyer. And once the title deeds are issued, no matter if there are mortgages or any other memos, let's say at the property, then the land registry allows the new buyer to have the property registered in their name without all of these mortgages, etc. So that's important for the prospective buyers, let's say, to know that. Also, another new rule that we have this year, it was really recently, it was from January, is that each contract of sale must have a search certificate, an official land registry search certificate attached, which that one will make sure that the property is okay to be transferred to the new buyer. So the lawyer that you will choose will guide you all through the process and protect all your rights regarding purchasing a property. And what is another thing that is really important here is to do a proper property conveyancing procedure, which will say the status of the property, so the buyer will be sure what is he buying.
Yeah. I think
Thank
that's
you.
fair, very fair to say, and certainly with us as an agent, we would very much work prior to the client buying it, to make sure that the property, that we know what we're selling before we go to the lawyer. So we can advise the client that these are the things that we expect the lawyer to find, and if the lawyer finds what we've said, then you can proceed. If they find anything else, then maybe they're going to tell you not to proceed. You know, our job as agents, and Antigoni's job as a lawyer, is to make sure we have safe, protected clients. And we do get people who are willing to buy properties that have problematic title deeds. It is still possible to buy them, but you have to be a little bit more sophisticated. It's not something you would sell to a first-time buyer.
Yeah, and we always, as you both said, we always suggest using a lawyer when you purchase in
Always.
Cyprus, as in other countries. What about the buying? I know that Antigoni referred to stamp duty. What are the buying costs to add on to the property price that buyers will pay?
Is the stamp,
Go on.
Sarah, would you like to answer
No,
that question, or
please carry on.
is the stamp duties, which is, as I explained, it's according to the value of the contract, are the assignment fees that in the case of an assignment agreement, or in the case of a title deed, we have the transfer fees, which are payable at the land registry. And what the land registry takes into consideration is the value of the property on the day of the transfer of the deed, which is really important to know that. Also, we have some other minor, let's say, expenses, which are the expenses of the power of attorney, any other stamps, if we need any other declaration from the clients. And also another thing which is important is the procedure regarding the VAT reduction on 5%. We didn't mention that earlier, which again, if you're buying a new property and it will be used as a permanent residence, you're allowed to pay 5% VAT rather than 19% VAT, which again, we understand that it actually helps people to purchase a new house and not a resale. Basically, these are the main expenses, plus the legal fees. Mainly, I don't think that I forget something.
No, I don't think so either. And I think that typically, if you're buying a new house, your expenses will be on top of the purchase price, 5% VAT, legal fees usually around 1% of the purchase price plus VAT, and the stamp duty, which is 0.2%. It's not like it is in the UK where it's thousands and thousands. It's in the hundreds, stamp duty. And €50 to deposit your contract. If you're buying a resale property, the maximum you'll ever pay to include everything on top of the purchase price is around 5%. So it's a lot cheaper than many other countries. So that 5% will cover your legal fees, it will cover your stamp duty, it will cover your searches, it will cover your assignment fees. And so it's actually, you either pay VAT or you pay approximately 5% in other costs.
Perfect, thank you. Just a question for you, Sarah. I think when we last met, you talked about the fact that mortgages are becoming available in Cyprus. Is that true?
Yes, it's true. And we've had our first approvals for British buyers. And we have 3 or 4 in progress at the moment that look like they're going to be approved. The interest rate here is not so favourable. We're looking at around about 6% for a foreign purchase, ideally a 40% deposit. But they are being granted, and they are, we've had our first monies released already. So it's a great thing to help people to perhaps buy the property that they want instead of the property that they can afford.
Brilliant. Thank you for that. Okay, so lots of people now want to actually move to Cyprus, and it's completely possible after Brexit. But can you simply explain the most obvious ways for a British person to spend more than 90 days in Cyprus, Antigoni?
After Brexit, most of the British people are able to be registered as visitors in Cyprus, which is a visa that allows you to stay for 12 months. And you have the right to renew that visa 1 month prior its expiration. So visitor visas has some requirements, and it's good that the client that is interested in buying a property and also to move into Cyprus to know the requirements prior their arrival, because there are many important documents that the clients must collect from the UK, and also must be apostilled, which is really important, because if they manage to come in Cyprus and after to search for the documents, it will take long time, and maybe they will exceed the 90 days. So it's good to have a good consultancy prior their arrival in order to give them a list with the documents that they must have with them. So the one option is the visitor visa, which, as I mentioned, is a temporary residence, is valid only for 12 months. And what the client must show is that his intention to leave, which is with a contract of sale or with a rental agreement, and also that the client has the sources outside the Republic of Cyprus and he can afford living in Cyprus. What is really important here is that the client must open a bank account in Cyprus. He must transfer the amount of 10,000 euros, which he has to use it for his daily expenses in Cyprus. And at the same time, when the renewal comes, he only has to have at the account only 6,000 euros. So that's the main, that's a good point for the people that are interested to buy in Cyprus, that they need to have a sufficient source of income outside the Republic. And as we are giving more detailed information, let's say that for one person is around 24,000 euros per year.
And for the second, if it's a husband and wife, how much do they need?
If it's the husband and wife, it goes 20% above the 24,000 for the spouse, plus 15% for each dependent child.
Yes, it's very affordable. I mean, even if you've got 2 pensioners on a full state pension, they're almost there without any private pensions in terms of income, which is what we find. Most people have got small amounts that will add up to that, 29,000 euros, which is about 26,000 pounds a year. So the cost of living here is very low. If you own your own house outright and you've got 2 state pensions to live on, then you can have a really nice lifestyle.
So just to clarify, that option, you don't have to own a property. You can rent one.
Yes.
Perfect. And is there an alternative option where you buy a new build property and do a different route?
The different route, if you buy a new build property and you spend 300,000 euros plus VAT, you're allowed to submit the fast track permanent residence application, which is an application only if you purchase a new build, but at the same time, if you have 50,000 euros income per year. That's a bit strict, but it's there at the moment. And there are some people that are buying new build properties, but they don't have the income, so they go for the visitor visa. But there are some others who they have the income of 50,000, and they proceed with the fast track application.
Yes, because once the fast track application is taking about 9 months now, isn't it, Antigoni?
Yes,
Around 9 months. But so
around 9 months.
if you're working, if you're still working, and you're waiting for your fast track application to come through, then again, we've found quite a number of clients that do fulfill the fast track criteria, because once they've got their permanent residency, it doesn't have to be renewed and it can't be taken away from them. So it's a really good option for people that are still working.
Yeah, and also I think there can be some tax benefits, can't there, for people who, well, for retirees or income. Is that true?
Oh, it's very good. The tax regime here for pensioners particularly, you can elect to pay tax in one of two ways. You can pay either tax at 5% on your total pension income, or you can pay under the normal assessment scheme, where your first 19,500 euros per person is tax free. So usually we just look at the income, and you then we'll get you an accountant to get you onto the tax system, and he will just confirm to you which is the best way for you to go so that you pay as little tax as possible.
Okay. I mean, it comes across that real planning is needed, isn't it? For if you're wanting to move to Cyprus, you've got to work out which of these routes will work for you, and really start thinking about the time frame.
Yeah, and that's what we're here for, is all of us. Although we sell houses, of course, we need to know all these things, and we will help our clients and guide them to the right people once they've been shown how to do their tax return once and they've made their decision. And at any point you can change. So if you suddenly increased your income massively and you weren't expecting to, you might wish to go from the 19,500 tax-free onto the 5% regime. And once you're here, there's so many people to help you, and the advice is not expensive. It's a one-off, and if you want, your accountant can do your tax return every year for a couple of €100 a year to fill it out. But it's a very easy system. Most of the computer systems here now are translatable into English, so you can see what you're filling out, and you're covered.
Okay. And what about healthcare for people who are coming to live in Cyprus? How does that work?
Antigoni?
For visitor visa, the applicant must have a private healthcare in Cyprus that will cover inpatient, outpatient, and also the transportation of the corpse. That's called Plan A. It's a medical insurance in Cyprus, and the price is, as far as I see from my experience, is the same for each company. So it doesn't matter with who they will do it. We just need the Plan A, which is for migration purposes. This is needed also for the permanent resident application if the client resides in Cyprus. It's really important here to say that there are some people that have the S1 from the UK. So that one, usually if you have the S1, you are not obliged to have a full Plan A. So the only thing that they want to see at the migration department is the transportation of the corpse.
Okay.
So what we usually tell the clients is if they have an S1, they should send it to us so we can check it with them and review the document and then let them know exactly what they want to do. And I think Sarah wants to speak also about the SE system.
Yeah, but I was going to ask you, how much is the insurance typically for somebody who's coming under?
That's from 185 euros, if I'm not right. If I am right, and it goes up regarding to the age, but it's around that one. I mean, it starts from 185, so it doesn't cost that much.
It's very good. And the health service here, if you're a pensioner, This is where you can obtain an S1 form from the UK, which if you're not a pensioner, you'll never have heard of, but you apply to get a copy of this form. And then once you're a permanent resident, you're entitled to access to our full healthcare system in Cyprus, which is fantastic. If you want to see a doctor, you'll call in the morning and you'll see them in the afternoon. It's not like it is in the UK. We have hundreds of doctors here. Private doctors are also in the health service. Um, and the accident and emergency procedure last week, unfortunately, I had a client who couldn't get out of bed for 4 days, and I needed to call an ambulance for him. And they had to send a specialist team from Larnaca with specialist equipment and 4 people to get him into the hospital, and it cost him €10. So
Gosh.
even if you're here on and he has no insurance, he's selling his house. He has no insurance, and it was €10, and they looked after him until he was well enough to go home. So I think we have all these little, even though you need your S1, you need your insurance, you will find that Cyprus is a place that's not going to leave you abandoned.
Okay, and just for people who don't know, the S1 is available from the NHS in the UK when you're of UK state pension age.
Yes.
That certificate, great. Thank you for that. And what about just on the subject of living in Cyprus? I mean, in terms of sort of ongoing costs, there's as I think you've mentioned, there's low council tax, isn't there? Is
There
there
is.
the living costs are generally lower?
Yes, property taxes for most people, say with a three-bedroom villa, they might be split into different categories depending on where you live, but your council tax, which will include your rubbish collection, your property tax, and your sewage tax, those are the main three that we have. For most people, the maximum is €500 a year. So, that's for a lot of English people, that's 2 months of their council tax, or even not quite
One.
that. One, yeah. So €500 a year, what's that? £440 a year. And then if you're in an apartment, it's a bit less, so probably around about 300 a year. So those costs are minimal, and we get our bins collected twice a week, and we get our recycling collected once a week. So the infrastructure is great. Ongoing costs, electricity, and water. For most families, their water bill will come in at around about €15 a month. It's very low. If you're running a swimming pool and you need to refill your pool, probably it's going to cost you about €80 for a standard size pool to fill a swimming pool. So that will give you an idea of how much water you get. Electricity, again, it's down to you, how much you use your air conditioning, how much you use your heating, because even we have a very short winter. It's only a couple of months, but it can get chilly. The newer the build, the better the insulation. And most of the new build houses now come with a photovoltaic system included, which we have on our house. And I'm running a plug-in electric car and all the home appliances for 3 people on a good sized house. And my last electricity bill was €103 for 2 months. I mean, it's incredibly different to the kind of figures you're paying in the UK. We don't have gas on the mains, so most things are run from electric. So I would say your cost of living is actually way, way lower. And we find this with a lot of people who've moved over here to rent, that they are only living on a state pension and they can still manage and pay rent. It's all about how you cut your cloth. But it's not an expensive lifestyle generally. Eating out's reasonable. Having a drink out is very reasonable. You can still get a pint here on a lovely beach bar for €3.50. It's not a backstreet cheap bar. You're in a beautiful setting with a pint of wonderful Keo beer for €3.50 and your friends. What more do you need?
Yeah, and I think the cost of living in the UK is actually a factor that's behind quite a few people moving to
Yeah.
Cyprus and other countries. So you've talked about the costs of of important things like a pint of beer, but what about the properties, Sarah? To give people an idea of exactly, if I wanted to get sort of a 3-bedroom villa with a pool in your area, what am I going to expect to pay? Can you give us some ballparks?
I certainly can. I mean, if you're, as most people that are looking to move here, they like to be in our red soil villages. They like to be part of the Cypriot community. They don't want to be in a British enclave, or they don't want to be surrounded by tourists. So a nice 3-bedroom bungalow with a swimming pool, brand new, around about 300,000 euros plus VAT. Little bit more, little bit less, depending on the size. A resale property, a 3-bedroom house with a pool, around about 260 for a resale property. The new ones are always a little bit more expensive, but you're getting brand new kitchens, new everything. Your photovoltaics are included. You won't need to spend any money on the property for a number of years. A 2-bedroom apartment in the tourist areas, a nice one now, is going to cost you around about 150,000 euros. So it's vastly different. I've just sold a house for a gentleman, a 2-bedroom house in a tourist area, no swimming pool, for 240,000 euros. He's been back to look for a house in England, and he's having to put half as much again to get a 1-bedroom apartment.
Mhm.
So, you do get a lot more for your money.
Is there a lot of new build going on, or do people, in these nice villages that are inland that you describe,
Yeah.
is that possible?
Yes, there's a lot, but it's not like it was where 20 years ago, where they built a development and you had to have it. We're now able to pick and choose, and perhaps even design your own house. So it's not a bog standard generally. No, this is it, you buy it. So we work with a lot of clients that the developer's building a complex, but he's building it one by one. They're smaller complexes, which is lovely. Maybe 8 to 12 houses, and somebody can have a bungalow, somebody can have a house. They can pick and choose the plot that they want to put it on, and it works really well, because each client then is able to get their own building permit, which also, and we've done a lot of these with Antigoni, it also helps them to get the title deeds when the property's finished, because it can't be applied for until afterwards. So we know that the correct plans are submitted, we know that the builder's built according to plan, and we know we're going to get a title deed. It's guaranteed.
Okay, thank you. So if someone would like to come out to Cyprus this summer, think about looking at what's for sale, how can they organize that through you? Do you arrange, get them to fly out and then arrange some appointments? How might they do that?
Yeah, well, they can come and meet us at any one of the exhibitions that we attend. That's always a good start.
Mhm.
Or they can get in touch with us, WhatsApp, Viber, Messenger. We're on all of them, and we will arrange viewing trips for people to come and have a look. We don't do the pressure stuff, but we'll pay for their accommodation for 3 or 4 days and show them what we have. And if they like something, then we will also give them a choice of lawyers to work with. And take them through the whole procedure. And we're there from the beginning until the end. And we still have clients coming back to us now after 15 years. My title deeds are ready. Can you help me get them? Yes, of course. This is what we need to do. So it's an ongoing procedure. We work in a small area where you'll see us on the beach, you'll see us in the supermarket, you'll see us in the pub, and we're always there to provide that little bit of advice.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think it's true to say that the whole buying process, the transparency, Cyprus has worked really hard to make it
Mm,
a lot, well, I don't know, a lot safer. Would that be the right
yes.
word to use?
More
I think,
attractive and
yeah,
safer.
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
I would just wanted to make a small comment, because Sarah said that most of the people that are buying, they prefer the small villages. So if a small village house is your option, don't be surprised to find eggs or potatoes or small gifts from the neighbors on your door.
Always.
Always. I think that's a comment that I get from clients.
Yeah,
So
it
Yeah,
happens a lot.
that's very good to hear at a time when in some other countries there's quite a lot of anti-tourist or second home owner sentiment going on with Airbnbs, etc. So that's I think we've covered a lot of ground there about Cyprus. Is there anything else either of you would love to add that you think we might not have covered off?
I think we've covered the main things, and all I would add is that we'd love to see you at one of the shows where you can meet us in person or in our office or on the beach in Cyprus. Please come and have a look because it's a wonderful place. I wouldn't change it for anything.
Brilliant. And Antigoni, I think you're going to be at some of the Place in the Sun exhibitions as well, again.
I will be on September in Birmingham. I can't wait. I really enjoyed the last time in Manchester, so I am looking forward for it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You can come and you can find your lawyer, find your agent, find your currency broker, do make a great start in your property search. So thank you very much, both of you. I hope that's been really useful to anyone listening, and good luck with your property search, and do get in touch with either Sarah or Antigoni after the session. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Liz.
Thank you so much.
That was great.
Thank you. Bye.